Welcome to Philanthropy in Focus, where we shine a light on the people and organizations making a difference in our communities. From executive leaders to longtime volunteers and board members, each episode offers an inside look at the missions, challenges, and opportunities shaping the nonprofit sector today. I'm Carrie Miller, Director of Philanthropy at Heritage Wealth Advisors, and today I'm joined by Alistair Harris, the newly appointed Executive Director of Shalom Farms, and Tarra Moxley, Executive Board Member and longtime volunteer, as well as Senior Account Executive at Marsh McLellan Agency. There's a lot of momentum around Shalom Farms right now, new leadership, a new strategic plan, and growing impact across the region. So I'm excited to dig in. Alistair, Tara, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having us, Carrie.
Yeah, it's so good to be with you today.
Great. Well, Alistair, let's start simply. What is Shalom Farms? Who do you serve? And why is food access such a critical issue in our community?
Yes, Shalom Farms is a Richmond-based nonprofit farm and food justice organization, and we work for food systems change and to improve food security and to think about ways that people can access food that's both good for their bodies and to think about the ways in which they want to support their own livelihoods and their own health and improving their health outcomes. And so we work with primarily low-income families and individuals in the city of Richmond. And if you think about just what food insecurity looks like in the city of Richmond, it's about double the rate of what it is like in the surrounding counties. So in Richmond, for example, that is about 20% of people living in the city that experiences food insecurity on a daily basis. And in the surrounding counties, it's about 8 to 9, maybe 10% at most. And so that's an important focus for us is to work within the city of Richmond. About 1 in 5 Richmond city residents live below the poverty line, and specifically in the neighborhoods that we work in. And if you think about another data point is that about 1 in 3 people are from ALICE households, and ALICE is the asset limited and income constrained households. And so that's who we work with, and that's why we focus on food insecurity and the broad overarching food systems change within our region.
Very nice. Well, I know that, Alistair, you've been a part of Shalom Farms for years, most recently as distribution director. What has it been like stepping into the CEO or executive director role, and how does your experience shape how you're leading now?
Yes, it's been an exciting moment to step into the executive director role. And it's really about, I think, about deepening the community-based relationship building work that I've been doing in my distribution director role, but also in the other roles I've worked in over the past almost 10 years now. And within the executive director role, it's really about elevating the work strategically within our region. And I think, Carrie, over the last 9 years of working within this organization and being in different roles and working with different community-based organizations and seeing all the different aspects of how the production team does their work, how our distribution team focuses on getting food to people in the right places where they need it, when they want it, and thinking about the sort of health system supports that we offer for our produce prescription type of programs that we do. I think all of that experience and all the time, it's given me a deep insight into what's required to enable community change. And I'm so excited about working with a staff team that has a lot of experience and a lot of skills that they bring to this work and the passion that they bring to this work, but also with the people who are supportive of this work. So, all the stakeholders that we can think of, including our board, including all the volunteers that make this work happen. And so I feel both well prepared and I feel both well supported by the community of people and the stakeholders that make this work possible.
You sound ideally positioned for this role, Alistair, so that's great. You recently rolled out a new strategic plan. At a high level, what are you aiming to accomplish over the next few years?
Yes, we did, and we are very excited about this new 5-year strategic plan, this is the first year of it, and so it will take us through 2030. And our plan at large focuses on 5 strategic priorities. And this plan really renews our commitment to collaboration and strengthening existing relationships, of course, forming new ones as well, and working more intentionally across and with other organizations to share resources, to align our strategies with their strategies, and then to advocate for systemic change. And I'll just highlight the sort of the 5 strategies, which includes advancing equitable food access. It's to think about maximizing our farm sites, and we operate 2 farms, one in the city of Richmond and one in Powhatan County. And then it's to think about integrating our education and engagement efforts so that anyone encountering our work or coming to our farms to visit, that there are multiple touch points for them to engage with the work. And then it's to build on and nurture our team, both internally and then with the partners that we work with. So building our team and making sure that we nurture the culture of the organization to remain an anti-racist organization. And then the last sort of big goal is to ensure financial stewardship and resource alignment for our organization. And so partnering with the kinds of groups and institutions that can support deep impact within food systems change. And so those broadly are sort of the 5 strategic goals that we have for the next 5 years. And of course, we are now in 2026 in the first year of implementing that strategic plan.
That's great. So, are there 1 or 2 that you're especially energized about, things that you think the community should really understand and appreciate?
Yes, absolutely. One I would highlight is that our work is so dependent on trust-based partnerships, so really relying on the community impact through the organizations that we work with. And we've done so much work within Richmond to build spaces where we can collaborate with others. And recent data and that's coming out of food systems change research particularly points out that if you want long-term 10, 20, 30-year impact within any community, what you really want and need are the kinds of collaborative projects and programs to help make that change and shift happen. And so that's the one thing that we will focus on across the next 5 years, is to deepen and cultivate more collaborative programs and projects with organizations who are also focused on improving food access and reducing food insecurity and improving health outcomes for many of our residents. So that's one thing that the plan will focus on. And I'm particularly excited to help do that work and help implement that work. And my role as the executive director is, of course, to help guide the implementation and support the staff and the stakeholders that we work with. And then another one I would point out is that we really think about how do we both increase the production at our farms, at our 2 farm sites. So thinking about innovative ways of improving, higher crop production, or of extending the season slightly with new tools and technologies. And then to think about the larger food system here in Richmond, in our region, the surrounding counties as well, is there an opportunity, in fact, to build a more sustainable food hub or food distribution hub that we could be a part of, so that we not only work with the kind of families and communities that depend on the kind of work that we do, but also for the small scale other nonprofits and other institutions that also have food needs for the communities and for the groups that they work with. How can we become a more collaborative food hub that helps build and helps improve the food outcomes for our region?
That's great. I know that, I'm glad to hear that that's a part of your strategic plan and building trust and collaboration. But I am also really impressed with what you've done over just the last 15 years of existence. Shalom Farms has really done an excellent job of creating awareness and partnerships. And I know about several of those, with different healthcare organizations and stuff, and your food and medicine programs and things. And so it's really impressive that you've raised so much awareness in the community in a relatively short period of time.
Thank you.
Well, Tara, let's talk to you. I know that you've been close to this organization as a volunteer and now as a board member. What drew you to Shalom Farms in the first place?
Yeah, thank you, Carrie, for that question. I started volunteering with Shalom Farms at the mobile markets. So the mobile market is a program that brings the fresh produce that is grown by Shalom Farms or brought in by Shalom Farms to communities that have food accessibility programs. They don't have grocery stores in their areas. They don't get fresh vegetables for a reasonable price. And just the community involved in brightening someone's day and interacting with our community members who really, really were thankful for the services that Shalom Farm provide led me to know that I needed to do more for the organization to help support the people involved, the employees, the volunteers, and more importantly, the community members that are benefiting from such a wonderful program. Most food organizations don't grow their own food. And so a second component to all of the programming that really stuck with me is the educational aspect. A lot of programming goes into bringing students to the farm to show students where food comes, how to grow food organically and responsibly, and how you can help your neighbor by being a supportive friend and community member. And so I think that the educational part of Shalom Farms is also really important and one of the reasons that I just really love this organization.
It's great. And I can certainly appreciate that. And in a time where you can just walk to, many people can just go to a grocery store and get their vegetables. How exciting for kids and stuff to be able to see how it's actually grown. It's exciting for adults too.
Yeah, for sure. And I
Yes.
just think, kids, especially kids in our communities, don't necessarily have access to farms, right? I mean, it's a big city and there's not a ton of access to even understanding or knowing where our food comes from. And so having a location right in the middle of Richmond City where people literally walk by on their neighborhood walks is such a gift to our community.
Nice. I'm one of those people who walks by the gardens on the north side. So
Yes.
it is fun to see. So there's been a lot of enthusiasm around Alistair's leadership and the next chapter. From your perspective, Tarra, what gives you confidence in where things are headed?
Yep. Just over the short amount of time that I've been involved in this organization and known Alistair, I've learned so much from him specifically and just others in the organization. There's an incredible bench of people that are making this happen for the people in our community. And they really know what we're doing, and it's our job to support them so that they can bring fresh produce to our neighbors and friends who really need it the most.
For someone listening who's inspired by this work but isn't sure where to start, how can they meaningfully support Shalom Farms, would you say, Alistair?
Yes, there are various ways, but I also just want to acknowledge Tara and her skills and experience and support for this organization. And as a board member and as a volunteer, is exactly the kind of person that we want to be involved with in this work. So Tara, thank you for all of who you are and what you bring to us. I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
And so thinking about the ways that people can, where do we start? Where do you start? Is, of course, we love inviting people to our farms. So either you come to the one in the city on Westwood Avenue, or you meet us at our farm in Powhatan County. We grow food. We are a production farm. So if you're interested in volunteering with us, come and visit. Come for a farm tour. That's always a good way to see the work on the ground and to meet the people that that are involved in it. And we love inviting people to our program site sometimes. Whether it's our mobile market, and you can find them online. We have 7 community-based sites across the city, East End, South Side, in the North Side. And so there are many opportunities for people to come find us, even at our Westwood location where we do a market once a week on a Wednesday afternoon. So people can join us there as well. Organize a field trip for a school group, let people know that that's available for them, and come join us for an educational experience. And then, of course, the sort of what Tara just referred to, the hands-on experience of being at a farm, of maybe running through a field of grass and a cover crop, of planting new plants, of seeding new plants, and then maybe harvesting and helping us keep the beds clean and helping us keep the farm running. And for those of us who are not in the city, not close to our farm sites, of course, find us online at our website, shalomfarms.org. And there you could sort of read about our work. You can, if you're interested, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get monthly news about who we are and what we do and how we do it. And then if you're interested in supporting us financially, of course, you can find the donate page as well. And there are all sorts of ways for you to be involved in that. And then I would say lastly, maybe through social media on Instagram, on Facebook. And if you already know about us and you know us well and you've been to our farms and you've seen our programs, I would invite you to introduce us to a friend or a new family member or somebody else within a social group that you are part of, and tell people about who we are and what we do, and invite them to come and, attend an event as well, even with us.
Okay, Tarra, anything you'd like to add from a volunteer or board perspective?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. The first is that we would love to welcome everybody to our Harvest Festival in October. This is October 1st at our Northside Farm, which is 1311 Westwood Avenue. There's a family style meal. There'll be fire pits and s'mores for the kids. There's going to be a mobile market, live music, some volunteer awards, and farm tours at 5:15 and 5:30. It's a really good way to be introduced to the farm with very low effort. And we really look forward to the Harvest Festival every year to celebrate all of the work that went into the summer growing season. Secondly, I just want to push how important it is to volunteer to be on boards and volunteer in the community to help your neighbors and friends. It's so rewarding to be on a board and to help people who have dedicated their lives to the nonprofit space. I think that some people feel like they don't have anything to add to a board. Maybe they never ran a company or, feel like they don't have the skill necessarily needed. But I can assure you that, passion is one of those things that really makes board service impactful to an organization, just supporting the people that are working there, the operations that help people in our community, and belonging to a community that really is making a difference in Richmond.
That's great. I second that sentiment. But it's always great to get involved in your community. So, Alistair, I'll close with one of my favorite questions. What is one question you wish donors or supporters would ask you more often?
Carrie, I love this question, and I have maybe two thoughts. One, I would love for donors and supporters to think about and maybe ask some questions about what's the impact or the depth of impact that they want to achieve in any given community, and maybe also to think about then who are the organizations or community groups they can align with to make that impact possible. I am sure that there are many people listening to this who are thinking about their own sort of either individual or family impact. And so I would want you just to consider what is that impact that you want to have. And then the second thing I'd want donors and supporters to think about is their own intersectionality, right? Their individual power or their individual or family privilege, and how they can use that as a force for good in any community, in any sort of neighborhood, with any kind of issue. And so that's always, I think, an important part for the work that I'm interested in doing with partners, is to also think about your own sort of way that you come into this work, and for more donors and more supporters to spend time with those questions and see how they think about it, see the kind of change they want to see happen on the ground, and then finding the organizations and reaching out to those kinds of organizations that they want to align with. And so that would be my invitation, to think about those two things.
I love that and couldn't say it better myself. Thank you, Alistair and Tarra, for both being here today, sharing some important information about what a wonderful organization here in the community, but also your wisdom and years of experience in nonprofits and leadership. So, for those who want to learn more or get involved, we'll include links in the show notes. And I'm Carrie Miller, and this has been Philanthropy in Focus. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie, so much.